In this video, we want to look at integers, absolute value, and properties of those integers and absolute values. In integers, that typically for us means positive or negative whole numbers. A lot of times people will say this incorrectly and they'll say integers. Remember, we want to call it integers. And this means positive or negative whole numbers, or whole numbers and their opposites. Remember, whole numbers are numbers like 0, 2, 5. And if we're including their opposites, that means we're also including numbers like -2 or -5. Remember, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so it really doesn't have an opposite. It would be kind of its own opposite. Alright, so what they want us to do on here, they gave us a number line with no numbers on it. They want us to label the zeros. We'll just kind of put it somewhere here in the middle. It wants us to label the side that contains the negative numbers. Remember, when we're doing negatives, we start from the 0 and we're working our way to smaller numbers. And the arrow at the end would indicate that this pattern continues on in that direction forever. So here we would do -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. And if we were going to the positive side, label the side that contains the positive numbers. We'd try to have these all as equally spaced as possible. You could space them out with a ruler if you wanted to, just for accuracy, or if you're using graph paper, it's always nice to have it already spaced for you. And when we're putting our numbers from here, we start at 0 and work our way to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, they ask us to place some numbers on the number line. The first one they want us to place is 3. When we place that number on the number line, we basically put a big closed-in circle, meaning that that was one of our numbers. It is an answer. So we're placing a dot on 3. So we go find 3 and put a circle, a closed-in circle. We don't want to use an open circle because later on that's going to mean not included in our answer, so we need to make sure we know the difference in those two. For now, we're just using the closed circle. Now I want to go to 3.5, so 3.5. So that would be halfway in between 3 and 4. And we'll label that as 3.5. And then if we're marking 4 on the number line, we would put a closed circle at 4. Alright, next they want us to place -3, -3.5, and -4 on the number line. Now, they went ahead and gave us 3.5 and -3.5. Those aren't actually integers. They're not positive or negative whole numbers. They are positive or negative real numbers or rational numbers. But we're going to go ahead and put them on our number line just because they ask us to. So we're looking at -3. We'll put a circle over it, a closed-in circle. -3.5, so that's halfway between -3 and -4. And then -4 on the number line. Alright, we've done everything we were asked to do in that first section. In the next section, they want us to write an integer for the following. Remember, integer is positive or negative whole number. You might prefer to say whole numbers and their opposites. That's the same thing. Alright, so they want us to write an integer, and then we want its opposite. So in the first column, I'm going to put the integer. And in the second column, I'm going to put its opposite. Alright, it says 3 degrees below 0. So if I was thinking about 0, and I was going 3 degrees below it, 1, 2, 3, I would be at -1, -2, -3. So -3 would be the integer that I would be talking about. So its opposite would be a +3. Remember, you have to put the symbol if it's negative. You do not have to put the symbol if it's positive, because it's assumed to be positive if there is no symbol associated with it. Number 7, $20 lost trading. So lost, would that be a positive thing or a negative thing? It's a negative thing, so that would look like -20. Its opposite would be a +20. 50 feet above sea level. Above would indicate a positive or up. So if I'm looking at sea level, it's here at 0. Below sea level would be in the negatives. Above sea level would be in the positives. So since this is above sea level, we'll go with positive 50. Remember, I could put the plus 50 or I could just write it as 50. And then its opposite would be negative 50. Next one, 10 yards gained on a field. So like this could be in a football game. If you gain yards, that's a positive thing. You're gaining yards until you get to your end zone. So here we want to gain yards. That means we're having a positive or a plus. So this would be a positive 10. And then its opposite would be negative 10. A bank deposit. Deposit means that we're putting money into our account. That's always a good thing. So we're increasing the amount that's in our account. So a deposit would be a positive. So we're going to have a positive 500. It's always nice to put $500 in the account. And then the opposite of that would be negative 500. Easy enough. Let's look at the bottom section. Absolute value of a number is the distance a number is away from 0. It is always positive. Now that's sometimes a little tricky because if they put a negative sign outside of it, you would think that it's always positive and still put a positive number. Remember, the absolute value part is only the stuff inside those lines. These lines indicate absolute value, so I'm just going to kind of put those around the word absolute value so that I remember that's what absolute value is in a problem. It's represented by those lines. So here I'm looking for absolute value of 9. How far is 9 away from 0? Yes, it is 9 away. This next one is negative 17. So we want to know the absolute value of negative 17. In other words, we want to know how far negative 17 is away from 0. So negative 17 is 17 away from 0. It's like if we took a ruler and we looked on a number line. Here's 0. Here's negative 17. If we were going to measure from here to here on our ruler, it would be a positive 17. We can't get negative numbers on our ruler. So a positive 17 is what our answer is. Let's look at a few more examples. Here's one that's like what I was saying earlier. If we're working on this one, we want to work inside the absolute value first. So I'm just going to look at this part. Absolute value of negative 8. How far is negative 8 from 0? It's 8. Now, we took care of all of this part, but we still have that negative out in front. So our answer is going to be negative 8. Now, I know you saw on that on the other page it said it is always positive. Remember, that's just the absolute value part. So this sign, this negative sign, and this absolute value are considered two different things. We do the absolute value first because that would kind of be considered in parentheses. Then we would multiply it times the negative that's out front. So our answer would be negative 8. I'm looking at number 14. I have negative 4 inside the absolute value bars plus a 3 inside the absolute value bars. So first we're going to take the absolute value of negative 4. So absolute value of negative 4 means how far is negative 4 from 0? It is 4. And then the absolute value of 3. How far is 3 from 0? It is 3. So now we have the problem 4 plus 3. We can do that addition and get 7. Number 15. Notice on this one the absolute value bars have more than one thing inside. So just like parentheses, we would work the stuff inside and then take the absolute value. So here we have 12 minus 3. So 12 minus 3 would be 9. So this is like having the absolute value of 9. How far is 9 from 0? It's 9. For number 16, we have the absolute value of 8 minus the absolute value of negative 3. So first, just like in this problem, we want to work the absolute values first. How far is 8 from 0? It's 8 away. We have our minus sign. Then we do our absolute value of negative 3. How far is negative 3 from 0?